I know what it means. The hunger pains that you go on the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth day. I know the cramps in the stomach. I know when your hands start trembling and you feel cold because the fat in your body is wasting away.
On his 30th day, Cardinal Sin came, administered the last sacrament to Ninoy. It was a very moving thing, and at a certain point, Ninoy's tears were just flowing, and it was, later on I asked Ninoy how he felt, and he said, he really felt so good. He felt that he had made peace with the Lord and that he was prepared to go. And I said, no, don't think of it that way.
And so I went on until I lost about 40 pounds. From 163, I dropped to about 127. And then I was rushed to the hospital. My mother cried, and my wife, naturally, and my children, but I was determined. I felt that I've served a full life, and it was time to go. But somehow, on the 40th day, I was struck by that letter of Father de la Costa to me. And he said, do you think by trying to die you are being courageous? He said, you're not being courageous, you're a coward. It is more courageous to go on living. You're opting out. You're escaping. And it's an act of cowardice. To continue living and to continue fighting. He said, it's more courageous. And ultimately he said, if you believe in the divine will, do not interfere with his will. Let his will be done.
When I arrived in Taipei, I switched to my Marshal Bonifacio passport. Alam naman ninyo, Marshal was for martial law, at saka yung Bonifacio para sa Fort Bonifacio kung saan ako nakulong. Except for the Taiwan visa and the fake Manila departure stamp, all the passport pages were clean. Kinwestiyon ako. I told him, walang direct flight to Taipei, kaya dumaan pa ako sa Hong Kong. I must have convinced him enough for him to let me go.
Now, if he says that he wants to come back here, sure, by all means, he can come back. But for what? He has to face up to the facts of life.
I will go back because I think I'm innocent. And if Mr. Marcos would like to shoot me on that basis, so be it.
Benigno S. Aquino Jr. This commission sentences each one of you to suffer the penalty of death by firing squad.
You can end a man, you can imprison his body, but you cannot imprison his soul. And as long as man will refuse to be defeated, you are never defeated. And so Mr. Marcos can imprison my body, but my spirit shall soar.
He was going to continue arguing against the dictatorship, and that he hoped that he would be able to influence others, especially the people, to do the same thing. That's why I think he ran for the Batasan in 1978, even if the odds were against him. He wanted to have the opportunity to, again, talk before the people. Unfortunately, he was only given one television interview in 1978 on Face the Nation.
All I ask Mr. Marcos is, send me before an impartial tribunal, not a military officer.
By making a statement such as that, you're really questioning the integrity of all these men?
No, it is the circumstance, Ronnie. Kamukha mo, empleyado ka ng NMPC, maatakin pa si Marcos? Ba, hindi pwede.
No, no.
Na nga eh.
I will not attack the president. I have no quarrel with him.
Na nga eh.
It was one of his most memorable interviews, and I understand that at that time, most Filipinos were just glued to their television set. And they were rather empty because people were watching, on television. So I told him that, and many others told him that. So if only for that one television interview, he felt he had already decided right in running for the Batasan.
I heard none of the noise barrage from my cell in Fort Bonifacio. But Cory told me it spread like wildfire in Metro Manila. Sa wakas, nagpakita na ng galit ang mga Pinoy. Ang galing talaga ng mga taga-UP. Sabi nila, your votes may not be counted, but your noise will be heard. Natakot tuloy si Marcos, so he had to make sure KBL would win by a landslide. Part of the plan was to gather members of the foreign press to join me in this last leg of my journey. They would serve as a foil, para na ring bodyguards. And their presence might just deter any evil plot. At kung may mangyaring masama sa akin, they would let the whole world know.
You have to be very ready with your hand camera because this action can become very fast.
Yes.
In a matter of 3-4 minutes, it could be all over, you know. And I may not be able to talk to you again after this. Now, I am taking some precaution. I have my bulletproof vest, hoping that would be some kind of a protection. But if they hit me in the head, there's nothing we can do there. I can only be protected from here to here. You see, this is the latest bulletproof vest that I will be wearing. You know, this Kevlar on top here to protect this, and then a back part on this side. But as I said, this is only good for the body, but in the head, there's nothing else we can do. So,
He is not that important. It's only the Western press that is making him important. I don't know why.
But I knew that somehow I will regain my freedom. Maybe not in this world, but elsewhere. And I knew that sometime, somewhere, Mr. Marcos and I will meet. And in that meeting, I will have my satisfaction.
When the members of the foreign press have left my room, I felt the exhaustion. I was just so tired, so drained. If Marcos would take me back to my prison cell as soon as my plane lands in Manila, I would not even mind, so I can rest, even for a while.
Then on March 19 of 1980, every day they brought me out to exercise. As I was walking around my little corral, all of a sudden I developed a chest pain. On May 5, 1980, almost midnight, they took me from my cell and they brought me to the heart center. That was a Monday. The doctors at the heart center met me, took preliminary tests, and they told me, Senator, they said, tomorrow we will begin the battery of tests. And so I slept, but I could not sleep. That was the first time I was brought out of my cell in almost 7 years and 7 months. And there were beautiful nurses, and the first time I was seeing women in 7 years and 7 months. And naturally, I was watching my heart as it was palpitating. And so I woke up at 6 o'clock that following morning on a Tuesday, and they brought me down for my x-ray, and they brought me back. And there were these beautiful nurses around, and they say, oh, Senator, ikang ganon, nangayayat po pala kayo. Ako, thank you. You know, I used to be very big. But as I sat down after that x-ray, I was just about to sip my coffee. All of a sudden, I got hit again by a terrible chest pain that was almost choking me, and my arm was getting paralyzed. So I told the nurse, I said, Miss, please bring me to bed. So they brought me to bed, and they put all of those gadgets. And all of a sudden, the needles were squiggling. And they called the doctor. The doctor looked at the tracings, and then after 1 hour, they came back to me and said, Mr. Senator, we are canceling all tests. I said, why? Because we already know what's wrong with you. I said, what's wrong with me? You have blocked arteries, and you must undergo an emergency triple bypass, otherwise, you may die in 6 days to 6 months. I said, Doctor, pagpaliban mo na ka ako. Thank you na lang. I said, if they cannot operate on me in America, then bring me back to my cell. The truth is, I did not want them to touch me in Manila. And so I wrote my letter to Mr. Marcos and made 2 covenants. That if I leave, I shall return. And 2, that while in America, I shall not speak out against his regime. And I also said, I will only bring 3 of my children with me. That's also true. But of course, the other 2 were already abroad. All of a sudden, on Thursday morning, May 8th, my wife visited me early in the morning, and she told me, the hospital is crawling with Metrocom cars. Guards all over the place. Baka kami magbibisita sa'yo. Then all of a sudden, my guards started jumping, putting their barong Tagalog, hiding all of their guns. I said, tama, may darating na VIP. And then lo and behold, the beautiful one ascended into my suite. She came, and she was really beautiful. She has not aged, and she sat down and said, naku, Ninoy, sabi niya, I'm sorry to see you like that. Hindi ko lang nasabi sa kanya, kayo may kagagawan nito eh.